Hi everyone, this is Katie Buss. I wanted to go over the projects for FWS 235, Alcohol and Drug Education. The projects are very, very important. They take a little bit of time and research, and a lot of times people are a little confused on those. So I'm gonna just create a little Zoom video here to help you understand how to do those projects, okay? Drug and alcohol, or drugs in general, there's a very large percentage of people out there who are experts because they say so. I think it's super important in this class that we talk about where people get their information from and how to find accurate and reliable information. So and it's not just at school, not just students, but in life, how many times have you had someone, talk to you about marijuana? They're a marijuana expert. They know everything about it. CBD oil. CBD oil does this, it does that. We want to make sure that those people are getting their information through credible sources. Not only is it's ignorant to take information just because you heard it and not double check that, but it can be dangerous. Okay, so it depends on the person. This is why these projects are super important to me. The biggest thing I'm trying to get across is using sources, finding good, reputable sources to back up your opinions. That's what these projects are about, okay? So let's get to it. I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, we'll hide the Zoom. All right, so now we are looking at our drug and alcohol page. I'm on Eagle here. And you're gonna go to your modules, okay? Those are your units. You've already gone through the welcome module. You've already read through all this information. You've already done these first assignments. Okay, and some of you have actually started module 1, chapters 1 through 3. Just to review real quickly, these two things here are just files to help you. You don't have to do anything with those. Everything all the way to the left is a file or a document or something for you to read or download. Everything that's indented, that's the assignment, okay? So for module 1, we got chapter 1 reading and quiz, chapter 2 reading and quiz, chapter 3 reading and quiz, okay? These are just to help you. And then we now have the project. I just published it, okay? So when you click on the project, because after you're done with chapters 1 through 3, you're gonna do your first project, okay? So, just seeing if I can make this bigger. All right, so you open the project. This is project 1. This is module, and project 1 covers module 1, chapters 1 through 3. It's worth 50 points, okay? So you're gonna have 4 projects just like this throughout the course of the semester. There will be a 5th one for extra credit. The only chapters that you will not have a project like this over is chapters 4 and 5. I put chapters 4 and 5 all on their own. They're separate from everything else. The reason why is they are pure science. It is how your brain works, how drugs work in your brain. They're hard chapters. They're very different from the other chapters. So we're gonna do something different. There's nothing really to argue or to have an opinion on regarding chapters 4 and 5. It's purely basically anatomy and physiology of your brain and how drugs work, okay? So that's why they're separate. But the rest of the chapters, after you do a couple, you'll have a project. So project 1, here's what it says. When you have read and completed all the work for chapters 1 through 3, you are ready to begin project 1. There are 3 documents I want you to read before you even start. The first one is called the project instructions. I'm gonna go over those now. The next one is the grading or the project grading rubric. That is the rubric I will use to grade when I go through your projects. I will have that open and I will fill out your points. You should have this open when you're creating your document. That way you can make sure that you hit every single thing on that rubric, okay? And then the third thing I want you to read is something called scholarly journal articles. Once you have read these 3 documents, you're ready to pick a topic below from module 1 or chapters 1 through 3. I would pick the chapter that was most interesting to you. So you only have to do 1 topic. So do you like chapter 1, 2, or 3 better? Okay, I like chapter 2 the best, great. Go and find a topic question from chapter 2, okay? And then you're basically going to use the directions I gave you to create a discussion post. You're going to create this in a Word document so that you can save it, come back to it later, edit it, whatever you have to do. And when you are done, you will copy and paste that into the discussion post. Okay. A couple of tips or common mistakes that students make. There are some topics that are kind of more like questions. Answer the question fully and correctly. So some of it is kind of pulling science in a little bit. Some of it might be opinion-based and some of it might be science-based. So you kind of merging these two things together. It's okay to give me your opinion, but make sure that you're backing up with science that's correct, okay? I had people last semester post things that were totally incorrect, all right? So make sure you're posting things that are correct. And if there's multiple parts to the question or the topic, make sure you answer all the parts, right? Don't leave any out. Make sure you are using and citing your sources, and I'm gonna show you the rubric. If you just decide you're not going to use sources, you will probably lose half the points on this assignment. Sources are huge. Again, this is kind of the reason I'm doing these projects. There is a peer response section. It's kind of separate. You can do it at the same time, or you can come back later and do it. It's part of the project, and sometimes people forget it. Don't forget to respond to a peer, okay? And again, this is kind of an essay type of writing. This is not an English class. I'm not an English instructor. I'm not going to pick out every single colon versus comma, whatever. But I do expect proper English, proper grammar, spelling, punctuation, and have well put together, well-written paragraphs, okay? So it's essay format, college level writing is expected. All right, so then after that, I just have topics. So if you liked chapter 1 the most, pick one of these topics, okay? And some of them kind of have a title because you're going to use that. So if you were to pick chapter 1 topic A, the title could be use is not abuse. You know, topic B could be drug du jour. Topic C, war on drugs. So when I have you put a title, you're just going to create a little short title that has to do with that topic. Okay. Here's chapter 2 topics. Find one of those, and chapter 3. So all you got to do is pick one. Pick one. And then when you have created and written up everything, you are going to literally paste it in here. Okay, so when you hit reply, you can copy and paste your work into here, and then you're going to hit post reply. Okay, but again, don't create it in here. You need to create it in a Word document so that you can use spell check and all that stuff to make sure that it's good. Okay, all right, so that's what the project looks like on the module. Let's go through these 3 documents so you know what to expect on this project. Okay, the first one I want to go over, sorry, I got to find my document here again, is the instructions, okay? So when you open the instructions, it looks a little like this, or actually this is it, so it looks exactly like this, all right? If you have questions on this project, and the project's due at 10 o'clock on Sunday night, and you email me at 9 o'clock on Sunday night, and you're like, I don't get it, it's too late. If you have questions, you have to email me with enough time that you can still get the project done, okay? I will answer your questions, but you can't wait till the very last minute, all right? So make sure you ask me well ahead of time if you have questions on the projects, all right? There's gonna be 4 total this semester, and the 5th one will be extra credit. It's a research-based project in the form of a discussion post, okay? And each one of these is a group of chapters, okay? Follow and use the rubric if you want all the points. You need to use the rubric. I will show you that next. Again, this is college level writing that's expected here. The Writing Center is open and available, free to students. If you are struggling with this, if you're a struggling writer in general, you can make an appointment with the Writing Center to help. I've included their phone number and their website, okay? Sources. For these projects, you will need at least 3 sources. You can definitely have more, but 3 is the bare minimum. One of them is going to be your textbook. That is one of the sources I'm requiring. A second one is a peer-reviewed scholarly journal, and we're going to talk about that. The third one is any other reputable source that you can find. Okay, so you need at least those 3, if not more. Okay, for those sources, when you start to talk about them in your post, you're not just going to find a source, include it at the bottom in a reference section, and then not use it at all. It has to be used. And I'm going to show you on the rubric how I assign points for that. Every source that you use, you are going to introduce the title. If it's a book, your textbook, you're going to introduce the textbook. If it's a scholarly journal you found, you're going to introduce the title of that article. If it's some kind of online blog from a reputable source, you're going to introduce the title of that article. Okay. Then you're going to quote something from that article. You're going to quote it. Okay. Put quotations around it. And then after the quotations, you're going to cite it. Okay. And I'm going to show you an example of that. Then at the bottom of your post, that source has to be included in your reference section or your works cited section. Okay. So there are multiple things you need to do for every source. You are basically, I'm making you use it in the post. You can't just have an empty source, a source that's not really used. Okay. So that's how we're going to use the sources. There's basically 3 parts to this project, which means you'll have at least 3 paragraphs, if not longer. Okay. Some people cannot explain what they're talking about in 1 paragraph. So 3 paragraphs, all I'm saying is that's just the bare minimum. You may have more. Part 1, you are answering or talking about the topic you picked. Okay, so maybe you picked drug du jour. That's the one that you picked, okay? So part 1, you are telling me what the book says about that topic, or you are using the textbook to answer the question that I asked you, okay? This is the textbook's opinion here. I don't care if you agree with it or not. You are using the textbook to talk about that topic or to answer that question, okay? That's the first section. This is where you're going to introduce your textbook. You're going to quote your textbook. You're going to cite your textbook, okay? You're going to do all of that to back up what you're saying. In part 2, you're going to agree or disagree. So here's where your opinion comes into play. However, you have to actually back up your opinion. And the way that you're going to do that is you are going to find a peer-reviewed, scholarly, sometimes called an educational, published journal article. These are not online blogs. These are very, very specific things I'm looking for, and I'm going to show you where to find those. Okay, so you're going to do the same thing with this that you did with your textbook, but you're going to use it to back up your opinion. If you agree with the textbook, great. You're still going to use this to back up what you're saying. If you don't agree with the textbook, you're going to find an article to back you up. Again, you're going to introduce the name of the article. You're going to quote the article. And then you're going to cite that quote. Okay. Those are the first 2 paragraphs or first 2 sections. They can be longer than 2 paragraphs. And at the bottom, you need to have a reference or a works cited section for parts 1 and 2. Just put your 2 sources there. One source will be your textbook. The other source will be this scholarly journal. Can you have more? Absolutely. If you use more sources, put them in there. But you will have at least 2 here. Okay. Then that's just part 1 and 2. Or sections 1 and 2. Part 3 is the peer response. You're going to respond to one of your peers. So you're going to, once you've submitted your post, now you can see what other people have posted. If you're the first one to post, you're going to have to come back later. But if other people have posted, you can see what they have up now. Find something that interests you. One of your classmates wrote about something, but it has to be a different topic. If you respond to a peer that talked about the exact same topic as you don't get any points for this section. Okay, it has to be a brand new topic, different than yours. All right, so you're going to respond to that peer. You're going to, I have some things I want you to do, but essentially you are agreeing or disagreeing with the peer in a respectful and ethical manner. And then you are again going to find another source to back up your opinion. Okay, so you can agree or disagree with your peer, it doesn't matter, but you have to find something reputable to back up your source. This one does not have to be a peer-reviewed scholarly journal. It can be. It would be great if you can find them, but it doesn't have to be as long as it is a good, reputable source. And then at the end of part 3, you'll have to list that source, so you'll have another reference section or another works cited, okay, in your peer review section. Can you have more than one source? Absolutely, okay? So that's pretty much the project. Okay, there's 3 sections. You're answering the topic question or the topic using the book. Then you're agreeing or disagreeing using a scholarly journal to back up your opinion. And then you're responding to a peer on a topic different than your own. And again, you're finding a source to back yourself up. So you will have 3 sources total minimum. Okay, your book, your scholarly journal, and another reputable source. If you find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more, fantastic, but you need to have at least these 3, okay? So how do we find these reputable sources? Your textbook is a reputable source. It is actually one of the top of the line drug and alcohol books out there right now. So it does have some of the most update, current information. That's why it was so expensive. So how do you find one of those peer-reviewed, scholarly, educational, published journal articles? You're gonna go to a library's database. Now, back in the day, you used to have to look up things with cards, but now we can do it all online, okay? That confuses people. Just because you find something online does not make it a scholarly journal. In fact, most of everything you find online is just an online blog, okay? So we have to make sure we know the difference between the two. So the best place for you to go is to a library database. Luckily, as an RVC student, you have free access to our library database. And we do have scholarly journals available for you to look through, okay? So you can just log on, or not log on, but go to the RVC website, go to the library homepage, and then I think I have it explained somewhere in here. You're gonna click on Find Scholarly Journals, and it'll bring you to a page where you can search for topics. You will probably have to sign in using your student ID number and password. Unless you're here on campus, and you're using the library computers, you may not have to sign in. Okay, so that's a great place to start because basically Rock Valley has already paid for access to a lot of those. The other place that you can go is Google Scholar. Just go to Google, type in Google Scholar, and it will bring you to the scholarly version of Google, where we're not just pulling on online blogs, we're pulling up real educational works. So the only problem with using Google Scholar is that you finally find an article title you like, and they give you a tiny little blurb to tell you what it's about, and then you're like, yes, this is it, and you click it, and you have to pay for it. Okay, some of them are free, but some of them are not. So that's the only downfall to using Google Scholar, because you might find a great article and then you can't see it because you have to pay for it, okay? But remember that Rock Valley pays for access to a lot of these already, so Rock Valley is a great place, our library is a great place to look, okay? Let me show you what an example of what a peer-reviewed educational journal article looks like. Okay, so this is not an online blog. This is an actual educational journal that has just been put online, okay? And any type of article that's in this journal had to go through a major rigorous process to get put in here. That's very different than if you go to mayoclinic.com and you look on Mayo Clinic's website and there's a blog on, vegetables to help reduce, body fat, I don't know. That's just a blog, okay? So you're looking for an actual journal article that had to go through rigorous screening to get published, okay? How do you usually know? Well, one, they're gonna have dates of everything. There's a title. There will always be authors. These people work their butt off to get this published, so they want their name up there. And then usually there's an abstract. That's how you know this is definitely an article, okay? And then the abstract is more like just like an introduction of what it's about. But then you have to click on and open the article. Usually there's a PDF or a link or something. Okay, so that's how you know it's an article. And it is in some kind of journal here, the American Journal of Occupational Therapy. Now there are some websites that are really tricky looking. They make them kind of look like they're journals, but they really just are online blogs, okay? One of the biggest ways to tell the difference is who's the author, okay? I can see the authors right here. I know this is probably a journal or a scholarly journal. Plus I found it on our library's website, so I know it is, okay? All right, so that's an example of a scholarly journal. And then you just need another reputable source. This one doesn't have to be a scholarly journal. This could be mayoclinic.org or whatever, but it needs to be reputable, okay? Usually reputable sources end in .gov or .edu. Here's what's important. If they are selling or promoting a product, they're not reputable, okay? Their purpose should be to educate, just to educate the public. If they're educating you for free and they're not selling you anything, it's probably a more reputable source, okay? You go to any source and they try to sell you something, don't use it, okay? Wikipedia, it's a great place to start, just to start thinking about the word or the topic and getting other ideas, but Wikipedia is not a great reputable place. Somebody who works for Wikipedia collected things and just put them in there. They're not experts in this topic, so I would not consider that a reputable source, okay? News articles. People try to use news articles all the time. You have to be careful with news articles because who wrote them? A reporter, not an expert, okay? So a reporter may have gone and interviewed some people and collected some data, but remember that reporter is not an expert in the field. Reputable sources are generally created by experts in that field, okay? So I have a couple websites that I included here that you can click on and link, and it really just explains how to find good reputable sources. Use those websites, they're both really nice and great. I also have a couple videos here that will also help explain that. So you can click on these videos, these YouTube videos. The other thing I wanted to bring to your attention is something called consumerlab.com. I think there's a couple other websites like this out there. This is just one example. But what this website is trying to do is it's trying to make all the garbage information out there. It's trying to give you somewhere to go where you're like, I don't know what to believe. And so what this place does is it collects evidence scientifically to help you as a consumer so you know what's true or not. So this is going to help you be a smart consumer. You can't believe everything you read online. Consumerlab.com is a great place to help steer you in a reasonable direction. Okay, I would consider them a reliable or reputable source. All right, so that's a little bit about the projects and reputable sources. Now I want to show you what an actual post would look like. Okay, this is just an example. It's not actually from chapter 1. It's not actually topic 3, but this is what it would look like. All right, so when you start your assignment, the first thing you're going to do is tell me what chapter and what topic number you picked. So if you pick chapter 2, topic 7, that's what I need to see there, and then give me some kind of heading. Okay, so over here, I'm just explaining what this is. You picked a topic, you told me the chapter and the number. Okay. Next, part 1, discuss the topic using the textbook as a resource. So here, all I did was go through the topic and talk about what the textbook said about it. I actually quoted, I introduced the textbook. I said, as we know from the textbook, Drugs, Society, and Human Behavior, quote, the FDA does not regulate dietary supplements, blah, 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 end quote, and then I cited it. Okay, do you see that? That is what I'm looking for. I only have one quote here. It would be great if you could have at least 2, but at least 1 will work, okay? And so I finished talking about what the textbook says about this. Oh, it looks a little funny. Uh-oh. I might have to fix something here. Let me just get rid of that, see what happens. Oh, uh-oh, something happened in my document. Shoot. Oh, I might have to fix this for you. Oh, just, there we go. Oh man. Sorry guys, I'm gonna have to fix, something's wrong with this, but I'm just gonna keep going. So the second part is then I put my opinion in there, and I found a scholarly journal article to back up my opinion. Okay, so this, obviously this one was talking about harmful effects of dietary supplements like diet pills and things like that. So I found a scholarly journal. Okay, I introduced the name of it. I found an article online, harmful effects of supplements can send you to the emergency department. That's the title of it. And then I quoted it. See, quote, the adverse effects of dietary supplements, yada, 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 end quote, and I cited it, okay? So I'm looking for that in your opinion, and I'm using a scholarly journal to back myself up. Make sure, it doesn't have to be this exact order, but make sure somewhere in here you clearly give me your opinion. So I kind of have another paragraph that wraps it up and really hones in on my opinion, so that it's clear. Because some people just used a book and an article to back up what they thought, but they didn't really clearly say what they thought. So be careful about that. And then I have a works reference or sources cited, whatever you want to call it. That was spaced, but something happened to it. They're numbered, and they are properly cited with APA or MLA format. And then if there's a link, that's also included. Okay, and then here's our textbook. That's what your post would look like, something like this. Okay, 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs, it can be longer, as long as you can concisely tell me, hit all the points here. Now, you have to come back at some point and respond to a peer. So I responded to a fake peer called Bob. So, hi, Bob. I can see that you researched the topic on therapy, animals, and mental health. I made it clear who I'm responding to and what topic that I'm going to start talking about. Because when people read this and you're just like, I don't agree with you, and you keep going, nobody knows what you're talking about. Okay, so make sure you address the person by name and introduce the topic that you're talking about. Tell me your opinion, and then back it up with your reliable source that you found. Again, introduce the title of the article, quote it, and cite it. At the very end, you still need a reference or a sources cited section, number them, APA, MLA format. If there's a link, include the link. Okay, I will fix this sheet so that it looks normal for you. But I included this so that you kind of have an idea what the project should look like, okay? All right. Scholarly journal articles, I have this document in there as well. I've talked a lot about it already, so I'm just gonna quickly kind of go through this. Make sure you know the difference between a scholarly journal article and an online blog. So I've actually included links so you can click on this, you can actually see, oh, this is a scholarly journal article. Okay. It has a title, it has very clear authors. I can tell what volume it's from. Here's the summary. I can open a PDF. I know it's from this journal. This is an article, a scholarly one, okay? And same topic though. I found the same thing, an online blog. So this is an example of an online blog. It's a little tricky. It looks really official with Johns Hopkins Medicine. Now, I would consider this, because of Johns Hopkins Medicine, I would consider it a reliable or reputable source, but it's not a peer-reviewed scholarly journal article. The effects of sleep deprivation, okay? Now, sometimes they have the author, but they don't. This is not an article. This is an online blog. See, they have lots of links and clicks. It's an online blog, okay? So make sure you know the difference between the two. That's very important. The last thing I wanted to show you was the rubric. This is what I would have open when you are creating your post so that you can make sure you get every single point. Right here, I'm telling you how many points I'm giving you. So they don't have to be exactly in this order, but make sure that the order is logical and it flows. I shouldn't have to search through it. It should be in an order that makes sense, but whether you agree or disagree, can go before or after a quote. I don't really care, as long as it makes sense and it flows and I can understand what you're saying. So for example, the first thing, the chapter, topic number, and title are presented as a heading. Boom, 2 points for writing. Chapter 1, topic 3, whatever. Pregnancy and drinking, okay? That's it, 2 points, you got it right there. Okay, so then I would type in 2 when I grade this. The textbook is properly introduced by name in your paragraph. So you actually say our textbook, drugs, alcohol, and society, whatever, okay? Boom, you get a point right there. A detailed discussion of the topic using facts from the textbook is provided. This is the opinion of the book, basically. You get 4 points for doing a good job on that. You actually quoted and cited your textbook. 2 points right there, okay? So you're just literally going to follow through this rubric for all the points, and it is a total of 50 points. 2 important things. If you do not use a scholarly journal article for part 2, you don't get the points. If you pick the same topic as somebody when you're responding to them, you don't get the points, so it's a waste of your time. Make sure that for part 2, you have a scholarly journal article, and for part 3, when you respond to a peer, it is on a topic that was different from yours, okay? So that's pretty much how the projects are gonna work. I just wanted to make sure that you guys all felt comfortable with that. And then when you create your document, save it, and then copy and paste it here, post your reply, boom, it's up, and I can see it, the students can see it, people can reply to you. All right, that is it. And please email me if you guys have any questions. Talk to you soon, bye.